Now with our series, Today's Climate. With rising temperatures warming up our oceans, recent studies have shown actually 44% of reef-building coral species are facing global extinction. So that's where our sponsor, MSC Cruises, comes in. And Dylan, you got to see the work being done firsthand.
Yeah, this was incredible. So last year, MSC Cruises introduced us to their Super Coral program. It's a project dedicated to restoring our reefs by growing climate-resilient coral. Well, I recently traveled to their marine reserve in the Bahamas to check out the progress that's been made since our visit last year. Take a look.
Coral is pretty to look at. It doesn't move. It's not very charismatic in certain people's eyes, but it underpins 25% of ocean biodiversity. Rainforests are the most biodiverse ecosystem on the land. Coral reefs are the rainforests of the ocean.
For the past decade, marine biologist Dr. Owen O'Shea has been a caretaker of one of the world's most fragile ecosystems, coral reefs.
We have to start there. It's the key to this entire piece. When we consider nations like the Bahamas that rely on tourism, that rely on fisheries, without coral reefs, all of that collapses.
Dr. O'Shea and his team work here in Ocean Key, once an industrial wasteland, now a thriving marine reserve built by our sponsor, MSC Cruises.
I know we were here about 18 months ago as you were building these trees underwater to grow climate-resistant coral, basically. Where is that coral now?
I think the last time we spoke, we had 4 trees and maybe 60 pieces of coral. We now have 13 trees and almost 600 pieces of coral. And the corals that we've been choosing have demonstrated a resilience to the thermal events, particularly the one that we had last summer.
A global coral bleaching event that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration called unprecedented.
A lot of the reefs around here did succumb to those elevated temperatures, but the survivors are the ones that we honed in on and took little samples from that are now flourishing in our nursery.
And that's what's considered super coral, the stuff that you're seeing out there that's surviving through these warmer temperatures.
Absolutely. It's a term that we're moving away from. What we're trying to do is blend different species to increase the resilience on reefs. So we're moving towards the super reef concept because we need to be changing acreage, not square meters here.
To help drive that change, MSC's nonprofit arm, the MSC Foundation, partners with the University of Miami and Nova Southeastern.
I'm working on a research project to do outplanting coral for restoration efforts.
Where grad students like Austin Blakesley can pursue coral research.
We're using this coral fort that provides a protection for the corals to help them have a better chance with restoration efforts and having higher biodiversity on these reefs.
But coral restoration isn't just for scientists and students. In the spring of 2025, the foundation will open a marine conservation center on the island, a place where researchers, but also visitors, can learn about coral and the work being done to preserve it.
How will the tourists impact the work you're doing? Can they help it?
We're hoping that they can. Even if only 1% of our footfall is aware of what we're doing and wants to help, that translates every day to a large volume of people.
Despite the project's early success, for Dr. O'Shea, the work is far from over.
In 18 months, you've certainly seen a lot of your hard work grow. What do you predict in the next 18 months? Where do you see this project you're ongoing?
We need to start putting this coral back into the environment. It's almost like a proud parent letting their kids go off to university. We've done our part. We've given you that helping hand. Now let's see how nature can take over. We have the ability to help another species, and to me that's everything. I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Pretty. Ooh. So it's really cool. So those trees, right, that coral's been growing over the last 18 months. They're going to then remove it from those trees and then put it over near a reef, right? So it can just continue to grow and grow and grow. So that's what he's talking about. Like, we're getting past creating super coral, and now let's make these super reefs that are resistant to the warming temperatures. So I was snorkeling, right? So I got to float on the surface of the water to actually see 60 feet below those trees that were in the ground.
Right.
This wasn't your like average snorkeling.
No.
The waves were about 2 feet high.
Oh my God.
And they even said, Dr. O'Shea said that he probably wouldn't have like gone under the water that day because the current was so intense and so rough.
What did that feel like?
It just kind of pulls you away. So I was holding onto that rope, but actually the current was so strong it knocked over some of the trees.
Oh, wow.
So he had to go and do repairs and stand the trees back up so that they, continue to support the coral that's growing on it.
Impressive.
That was great.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Just
cool.
really a fascinating program they're doing.
And what a difference a year makes, too.
Yeah, they've grown significantly, which is awesome to see.
Next year I'm coming with you. I don't need a reporter. I don't need a report or anything. I'll just be there for support.
Just cheer me on.
Yeah.